Okay, Andrew, it's 9:30 if you want to go ahead.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Kira. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm Andrew Campbell-Eady. I'm Head of Communications and Events at the Irish Centre for Diversity. We recently held the National Diversity and Inclusion Awards 2026 to recognise and celebrate the valuable work being done to progress diversity and inclusion in Ireland. This webinar series has been devised to share the insights and experiences from the sponsor, the winner, and the finalists so that any learnings can be applied to your organisation or to help with entering the next award cycle. Today's session focuses on the category Advancing Gender Equality Award, and this award was kindly sponsored by FBD Insurance. FBD Insurance is committed to building an inclusive workplace that drives innovation, engagement, creativity, and collaboration needed to be the insurance employer of choice. This is their first time as sponsors of the National Diversity and Inclusion Awards, and we're delighted to have them on board. FBD Insurance, like the other sponsors and the Irish Centre for Diversity, had no part in judging process and couldn't enter themselves. So I'm especially looking forward to finding out everybody's stories and all the progress that they're making in the session today. I'll shortly hand over to the award sponsor, and then we'll hear from some of the finalists and end with the award winner, wrapping up in about an hour. Automatic closed captions are available with the Teams controls, and I believe Kira, working behind the scenes, will soon drop some instructions on how to access those for people that need them. The session's being recorded and will shortly be available on the Irish Centre for Diversity website, which is irishcentrefordiversity.ie or simply icfd.ie. Everyone is muted except the panel, but please do share any comments in the chat function. We'd love to hear which organisations you're joining us from today. There isn't time for Q&As, but you may get answers by connecting with each of the panelists directly on LinkedIn. Okay, without further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce our host for today's session, Sonia McCartney, Culture and Engagement Specialist at FBD Insurance. Sonia will shine a light on FBD's D&I advances with particular focus on gender, and then she'll lead what is sure to be an insight-packed conversation. Over to you, Sonia.
Very good morning to everyone. Thank you to Andrew for the introduction. I'm absolutely delighted to be hosting this webinar on behalf of FBD Insurance, and I'm really looking forward to an engaging and thought-provoking conversation with all the finalists and winner. We will be gaining an important insight to the businesses that are leading the way in advancing gender equality in Ireland. As Andrew has said, my name is Sonia McCartney. I'm the Culture and Engagement Specialist in FBD, and I'm also the interim chair of the DEI committee. I'm currently standing in for Francesca Dazzi, who herself was interim chair for Emer O'Donovan, but both girls are currently on maternity leave. Francesca had twin boys and Emer had a little girl, so while I know they are enjoying their family time and will not be tuning in, I could not host this without giving them both a shout out due to the Trojan amount of work they've done for DEI in FBD. Thank you very much, girls. And I feel absolutely no pressure at all in maintaining their very high standards. FBD were very proud to sponsor the Advancing Gender Equality Award, as it is such an important issue that is not only a moral imperative, but a business and societal priority. At FBD, we believe gender equality isn't just a principle, it's something we measure, manage and act on as part of our business strategy. Our progress reflects both where we are today and where we're committed to go next. Currently, women represent a majority of FBD's workforce, accounting for around 60% of all employees, showing strong female participation across the organisation. Yet, like many peers within the insurance sector, FBD has a gender pay gap. The gap is driven primarily by underrepresentation of women in more senior and revenue-generating roles, rather than unequal pay for equal work. To address this, we are actively building a stronger pipeline of future female leaders through structured development programs. We are focused on targeted sustainable actions that improve gender representation at every stage of career progression. We've introduced internal programs to manage this. So our iLead People Leader program is a 10-month development journey for newly appointed leaders. It covers key areas such as recruitment and onboarding, team development, high performance leadership, communication, safety, well-being, and ESG. In 2025, women made up 65% of participants, reinforcing our commitment to creating meaningful growth opportunities for women across the organisation. The Mindful Leadership Programme supports our emerging people leaders and continues their development journey. It empowers future leaders at all levels to grow their skills, support and enable themselves and their teams to deliver. In 2025, we launched two flagship initiatives, the FBD Sales Academy and FBD Academy, to fast-track talent into leadership roles. Each 9-month programme blends mentoring, project work and structured learning. Both saw 50% female participation, reflecting strong engagement and the effectiveness of our approach in supporting career progression. The high interest from women also shows that the support we offer aligns with their ambitions at FBD. We have opened another 2 cohorts for 2026 and look forward to our participants graduating at the end of the year. We promote gender balance by using diverse recruitment shortlists and structured interview panels that help reduce bias. Our people leaders also complete focused training on fair selection, equality, recruitment and performance, so our hiring decisions are consistent and inclusive. But advancing gender equality also means recognising that careers aren't always linear. Many professionals, especially women, take time out for caregiving or other family responsibilities. That's why in 2025, we expanded our support for career returners through Back to Work Connect. It gives midlife professionals the confidence, tools and coaching they need to re-enter the workforce and connects them with employers committed to inclusive hiring. This helps us tap into an overlooked talent pool and strengthens our commitment to inclusion, while bringing valuable mid-career experience back into the organisation. FBD has been a committed signatory of the Women in Finance Charter since 2022. The Charter, led by industry and supported by the Irish Government, drives greater participation of women at every level in financial services, from early career roles to senior leadership and boards. By signing it, we've committed to progressing women through management and board levels, setting stretch targets and continually improving gender balance across our organisation. Our family-friendly policies play a key role in helping employees balance work and life commitments. We operate a hybrid working model, and in 2025 we introduced medical care leave and domestic violence leave to complement existing supports such as fertility leave. These policies strengthen how we support employees and their families at every life stage. Our actions on gender equality go beyond our own organisation. We support programmes that build confidence, visibility and opportunity for women in the communities we serve. As an organisation, we are full of people who care about where they're from and the people around them. So when a local initiative or community could use some support, we fund them, we back them and we donate to them. We partnered with the Abbey Theatre to develop the Women in Business Take Centre Stage workshop. Drawing on the Abbey's expertise in storytelling and presence, it helps women build confidence, strengthen leadership visibility and find their authentic voice. Progression isn't only about having a seat at the table, it's about being heard at that table. And this programme equips women to lead with clarity and impact. As a business founded by farmers for farmers, we are committed to advancing opportunities for women in agriculture. We are the main sponsor of the Women in Agriculture Conference, which celebrates the contribution of women in farming while addressing gender issues across the agri-food sector. It creates a powerful space for connection, learning and visibility for women shaping the future of agriculture. The continuing objective of the conference is to acknowledge the essential role that women play on farms across the country and more widely in the agri-sector as a whole. We also sponsored the Women in Agriculture Awards, recognising innovation and leadership among women in the agri-food sector. These awards shine a spotlight on women driving progress, whether through on-farm innovation or new agribusiness ventures. Our support extends to the Dairy Women Ireland Conference, a national event that brings together women and allies in the dairy industry for learning, connection and inspiration. The 2025 theme, Building Success, Breaking Barriers, reflected the spirit of empowerment and collaboration that defines this community. The day included keynote speakers, panels and breakout workshops, with sessions designed to inspire and empower participants. It is a community building event that recognises and elevates the work of women in dairy farming. Together, our support for these programmes strengthens our external commitment to gender equality. We are proud to champion representation, recognition and opportunity for women across Ireland's agricultural community, and to help elevate voices that have long driven our sector forward. I hope I've provided a clear insight to why FBD wanted to sponsor the Advancing Gender Equality Award and the various initiatives we are delivering within our business and the partnerships we have formed to ensure we continue on a clear path for gender equality. It is vitally important that we continue to have open and meaningful conversations about gender equality, particularly with organisations like our finalists and winner Bus Éireann, who have been recognised as the very best in Ireland in advancing gender equality. They are not only responding to the challenge, they are reshaping it, introducing new approaches, new thinking and practical solutions that are making a measurable difference. There is so much we can learn from their leadership and innovation. As an organisation committed to championing greater representation and elevating women's voices, whether in business or across our agricultural communities, FBD is delighted to host this webinar. It provides a platform for outstanding organisations to share their initiatives, their experiences and their ambitions to inspire continued progress across all of our sectors. And with that, I am delighted to welcome our first finalist, Allianz, represented by Natalie Keogh. Allianz was congratulated by the judges for taking a very holistic approach, from family leave to helping redefine modern masculinity and community partnerships. Natalie, what have you learned about the role men can play in accelerating gender equality, both at work and in society?
Thank you very much for that, Sonia. I'd just like to start by saying that it's a real privilege to be here to stand amongst the other finalists and all the other entrants to this. I think this is our fourth year now to be a finalist in the Advancing Gender Equality category. So always the bridesmaid, never the bride. But what I would say is sometimes it can be overwhelming for companies, for ourselves here. This is our fourth year to attend. Apologies, that is just my dog who has started. One sec. I'm sorry about that. That's one of the joys from working from home. I would say that it can be overwhelming listening to all the other finalists and being on this, but what I would say is that every year we have something to learn. So although we've made great strides, I would say that it can be intimidating, but I think if people start with the basics and get that right, it's about the culture. If you have a culture of acceptance and a culture of trust, anything is possible. So it's a long road. We have many more hurdles to overcome, but I would say that the first step is building those key milestones for yourselves and your companies. It was a real honour as well to be called out, and the judges noted our work around partnerships and around masculinity and modern masculinity. So I just like to bring you through that. Some of the work we've done in the past 12 months, again, like FBD, Allianz are a signatory of the Women in Finance, but we also take a holistic approach. So we were voted Best Workplaces for Women for 2 years in a row for 2024 and 2025. It's a real standout moment for us. Benchmarking ourselves against all industries, not just the financial services. We're also Equal Pay Employer certified. We are EDGE certified, so that's the economic divide that looks at our pay, our policies, and also it's the engagement of employees. So when we have our Allianz engagement surveys and also the Great Place to Work, we've had consistently the last couple of years 93% participation, which is a key milestone for us. This underpins that people feel they have a voice and they can use it. It's a high trust environment. Trust is earned. We have to work at it every day. And I think by reinforcing that people's voices are heard and understood, and sometimes it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. What we've done as well, if we did a maternity experience project, because we pay full maternity, there's lots of bells and whistles, but it's how people are integrating back afterwards, because obviously it's a very vulnerable time. So taking the time to listen to people and to understand what we're doing right, but also what we're not doing right or what we can do better is very important for us. What we've really learned in the space around male allyship and where men have a role to play in gender equality, is that men must be also co-creators, not just bystanders. It's an active role. So it's not a nice to have for us, it's definitely a cultural lever. When men must become not just standing on the sidelines, but actively participate. So one of the key changes for us has been our partnership with Women's Aid. It is something that's hands down one of the biggest championing moments for us in terms of bringing men into the conversation. When we're dealing with domestic violence, and we've done employee training, we've done manager training, but men feel almost nervous of what to speak. Should they be in these rooms? What can their voice lend to it? So when we did the Dead Flower Shop campaign last year, talking about all the women that have lost their lives to male partners, it was a real turning point in men understanding that they do have an active role to play. So they need to call out microaggressions, and that they are where they had been nervous before, they now have the language to use. So that was a real important turning point for us. They felt once they were given the tools and the language and the permission to do so as well, that they became better understanding, better equipped, and they became agents of change for us. So it was a very powerful campaign for us, and they understand now that they have an active responsibility. Our work around redefining modern masculinity has been a long road, I would say. Still not there, but definitely breaking down those taboos. We're allowing men to become caregivers and allies, that this is seen as important work. Men want to be present in the home, and I think the tide is turning there. But what they really need is role models. And a big cultural shift was for us 2 years ago. Our CEO, who is German, had his first daughter in his 40s, and he took the full paternity leave. So he came on, he talked at our town halls about the trials and tribulations, but he also took the full paternity leave. And he spoke about it, he encouraged men. So it's not something that's there on paper. They do need to see. Men want to be vulnerable. Men want to be seen as caregivers. And as I said, we are growing, but also for women to step forward, men also need to step forward and carry that caring load, which they really want to do. So I think it's about making that permissible, that they can see it championed, and the space there. So we always want men to be present, emotional present as leaders as well. So we've brought them into the conversation around fertility training. We introduced fertility leave last year, but both for men and women as well, because sometimes these are all seen as female health issues, where in fact we know that it's not. It's for both partners or for same-sex partners. So that's important. When we're building these policies, we are asking the employees to lend their voice. For people with lived experience, but we also understand for the likes of menopause that men don't need to have lived experience. They just need to be present. They need understanding. They need to be coached. When we ran our first couple of menopause training sessions, we didn't have a lot of male leaders, even though I think 55% of our leaders are men. They just didn't know if they should be in the room. They didn't want to make women uncomfortable. We're saying by not talking about it, it's making women uncomfortable. So please come along. So we partnered with Riley to provide free period products, and we actively ask men to have these conversations only when women want. Obviously, for each individual person, it is it's a matter for them if they wish to speak, but we want engaged and informed managers. And again, the confidence is growing through each of those initiatives. I would say that it is lending itself to a more empathetic leaders. One of the other equators I mentioned was about the maternity leave, but also it's about the norms, it's about the behaviours, and that's where change really happens, that men are seen to be the caregivers, that men are having these conversations, that men are speaking about their mental health, and that we're supporting them in that as well. Also, speaking of, we were accredited for our menopause inclusive employer last year, silver accreditation. So again, that's looking at our policies, but also how women and people who have periods or experiencing perimenopause, how they are turning up and how they are feeling. So it's a cultural shift for us. It's for women of all life stages. One of the final things I'll just talk about is some of our community partnerships, that we wouldn't be here talking about all the great work without them. So one of the standout partnerships over the last couple of years has been the Shona project. I don't know if people are aware. So this is for young girls and young women in school, 14 to 16. And we also have, we mentor those young women as well. But what we're doing, we're understanding that equality in the workplace doesn't start in the workplace. It has to start long before that. So we are partnering with schoolgirls, and we're actually supporting we're sponsoring the new partnership with the Shona for Boys. So that's going to be a framework that introduces support for young men as well. So I know we're running tight on time, so I will leave it there. But again, if anyone is looking to find out more about any of the initiatives that we're doing, I'm happy to have a call at any time.
Thanks so much, Natalie. That was great to hear. Next up, we have welcome to Paula Voisin, who is with us today to speak on behalf of finalist Glen Veigh. Construction is often seen as a difficult sector to shift culturally. What do you think has been the most effective in building trust and momentum for gender equality across Glen Veigh and the wider industry?
Thanks, Sonia, for the warm welcome. I'm Paula Voisin. I am Senior Business Partner for HR, Talent Acquisition and ED&I, and I'm delighted to be here representing Glen Veigh as one of the finalists in this fantastic category. And congrats to Andrew, Ciara and all the team at the Centre for Diversity on an amazing event and just experience of the event earlier in the month. So I suppose construction isn't typically deemed to be very diverse or inclusive, and it might surprise people to know that at Glen Veigh we're actually a little bit more diverse than your average construction company in terms of the makeup that we have. We've about 29 different nationalities. 14% of our employees are non-EEA and 36% of our employees are female, and that's against an industry average of about 11%. So automatically we have quite a diverse employee base, and really the work, as Natalie said earlier, it comes with the work that you need to be doing is around making it inclusive. So we have made a commitment to creating an environment where everyone can achieve their full potential, and that reflects the communities in which we operate. So as a home builder, community is at the heart of everything that we do. In terms of the trust building piece, there's a top-down and a bottom-up approach at Glen Veigh. So we published our ED&I strategy in 2023, in which we set ourselves targets, KPIs and commitments, and we publicly report on them in our annual report, and obviously we put ourselves forward for awards like the ones that the Irish Centre for Diversity run as well. So we're very, very committed and vocal about the targets that we've set ourselves. Some of those targets were around females in leadership. We've made great strides in that space. We're not quite where we wanted to be, but some of the reasons or the barriers behind that are systemic, like the gender pay gap piece. They're systemic, and there just isn't the females in the industry to actually reach management level just yet. Some of the things we're doing to combat that include commitments around hiring female at graduate level. So we have a really, really strong talent pipeline coming up through the business, and we hire at least 30% of our graduates. At least 30% of our graduate hires are female. We do have quite a large graduate cohort. We have about 23 coming in 2026. We had a smaller cohort last year of just around 20, but we had 45 graduates the year before. So we have a really, really strong graduate pool. About 10% of our employee base would have come through the graduate programme. So that's a really, really good way to build a talent pipeline. So aside from the strategy, which is governed at board level and reports to the ESR committee, the steering group, ED&I steering group, which is made up of senior management, sets the direction of travel for the ED&I strategy. We have really, really strong policies and procedures, but that's not good enough. They can't just be policies and procedures sitting on the internet. We have an excellent group of people that work on our ENG, our 5 ENG groups voluntarily. We also have a strong wellbeing ambassadors group and our sports and social committee. So collectively they work together to ensure that the programme of events that happens for employees during the year fits both the ED&I strategy needs and also sort of the needs of the people that work with us. And there's a really, really good kind of collaborative approach from all committees to develop that. Some of the policies that were introduced over the last few years, and just on the topic of gender, include our fertility leave policy, which was introduced in 2024, along with our menopause policy. And our women's network group was really, really instrumental in bringing those policies forward and communicating them out to the business. So, again, it's the top-down, bottom-up approach. So it's setting the direction of travel at sort of board and steering group level, but then the network groups bring things forward as well. And it's the communication and the collaboration between, the various levels of management, leadership and employees on the ground that's really helped us to bring things to life and bring things forward that are important and that have actually changed the dial for us at Glenveigh. And what I would say, and again to echo Natalie, and I'm sure others will say the same, it's not about perfection. It's about being intentional and consistent and actually knowing which direction you're looking to travel in and measuring all of those small steps. The advice that I got and I would always pass on is that you shouldn't let perfection get in the way of progress. So you might look like we're not there yet, but if you looked back a couple of years or even 12 or 24 months, huge strides are being made if you actually set intention, set targets, set KPIs and actually move forward in that regard. So thanks very much for the opportunity to share a little bit about our journey. Looking forward to hearing from the other speakers, and congratulations to category winner as well.
Very much, Paula. That's great. Our third finalist is the Mary Immaculate College, and with us, Professor Lorraine McElrath. MIC has focused strongly on embedding equality into structures, from governance to curriculum design. Why do you think making inclusion part of how things work matters so much for creating lasting gender equality in education?
Sonia, thank you so much, and many thanks to the Irish Centre for Diversity for beautiful awards night and for setting up this webinar. And I think I've been learning so much already from Natalie and Paula, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I need to get them down to Mary I to give a lunchtime seminar. So I might be reaching out to everybody after this because there's some amazing initiatives ongoing and just lovely to have this space actually to learn from each other. I suppose in Mary Immaculate College, we feel that occasional initiatives are not enough and they fade over time. And this is really about building gender equality into structures and systems. And I guess we want staff and students to understand that gender equality is the norm and it's not the exception. And we're about fixing systems rather than individuals. So I guess over the last 4 to 5 years, we've been trying to embed gender equality within strategic plans, our quality assurance processes, our reporting structures and leadership responsibilities. And I guess we have a huge opportunity because, well, 80% of our students are female and 80% of our staff are female also. And out of 5,500 students that we have, about 4,000 of those students will end up as primary and post-primary school teachers. So we have a huge opportunity to influence them and then them in turn influencing the next generation of young people in Ireland from, cradle onwards. And this being kind of a life course trajectory, if you like, in terms of creating champions across Ireland, Irish society for gender equality. So to date, Mary Immaculate College has 3 Athena Swan Awards. Athena Swan was established over a decade ago in the United Kingdom for universities to do a 360-degree study of how they were embracing and embedding gender equality. And it was brought to Ireland in the last decade to really help universities develop fairer gender equality policies and practices, because research was indicating that actually women weren't progressing in the same way as men throughout their careers. So we now have 3 Athena Swan Awards, one for the institution, one for the Faculty of Education, and one for the Faculty of Arts. And with those awards, we have action plans which basically set KPIs for us over a 5-year cycle, and core funding from the government for higher education is tied into the progress that we make in terms of our Athena Swan actions. So there's kind of a punitive element if we don't succeed. So that has been hugely positive in terms of not only improving Mary Immaculate College's gender equality progress, but also across the sector in Ireland. We have core hours also in Mary Immaculate College, so we're not allowed set meetings before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. So this is because we're cognizant that people have diverse caring responsibilities, and we want to ensure that people aren't penalised for not being at a meeting at 8:30 or 9 a.m., for example. We've recently become part of Limerick City and Council. We're a breastfeeding friendly organisation. There's over 80 organisations in the Midwest that are breastfeeding friendly organisations. This means that we have facilities on campus. So we have 2 campuses, both Limerick and Thurles. So we have facilities on both of those campuses for women who are breastfeeding or expressing. And this is really, I guess, elevated the language around breastfeeding as normal and natural within the workplace. So that has been fantastic. And we have a breastfeeding policy on the back of that as well. We have, like others have described, menopause guidelines for managers. We've worked in partnership with the Wellness Warrior to ensure that managers are trained and have the wherewithal to support women as they transition through this life course event. We also have menopause champions who are trained members of staff to offer support to women during that transition. And we have regular menopause cafes whereby we bring in different experts in maybe dietary issues or pelvic floor to give lunchtime seminars. All of our governance committees now have a 60-40 gender breakdown. This wasn't the case 5 years ago, so all governance committees now have that, and the same goes for interview boards. Like others have described, we've period poverty initiatives, and I'm very taken with Natalie's description of the maternity experience survey as we work on developing deeper supports for women as they transition back into the workplace. So listen, I don't think of anything more new to say compared to Paula and Natalie, but you know, I love that idea that perfection isn't progress, and that we're making strides all the time. Our gender pay gap has decreased by 2% over the last 2 years, so that has been a significant success for us as well. And just thanks again to Andrew and Ciara and all of our colleagues in the Irish Centre for Diversity for setting up these webinars, and I'm learning so much, so thank you.
Great, Lorraine, thanks so much. Great to hear what MIC are doing. So our next finalist is VHI Healthcare, represented by Nicola Carey. The judges were impressed that the VHI Women's Network began as a grassroots initiative and went on to shape organisation-wide inclusion strategy. Looking back, what helped you turn early momentum into lasting cultural change that people of all genders now feel ownership of?
Thanks, Sonia, and well done to everyone who spoke before me, because it's no mean feat. And there's so much going on. Like Lorraine said, there is so much going on. I have my notes here and I'm scribbling away, so it's great. And it was this event last year that encouraged us to actually put ourselves forward this year. So hopefully we'll see some more coming through next year as well. So thanks to Andrew and Kira for everything that they're doing. With regards to VHI Women's Network, we started in 2019. We had a very small kind of event. It was an International Women's Day kind of coffee. And then in 2020, we really launched officially. So I've been involved since the launch in 2020, and we started out that year with 51 members. So over the years we've grown. So I can say, like, at the moment we're heading towards 600 members, which is fantastic. It's growing organically. We used to have to go out and look for people to join. Now they just come along to us, which is brilliant. We don't have to go searching or kind of trying to boost the members. So that's brilliant. So it's kind of word of mouth is really helping us. We've kind of worked through with the organisation on policies and kind of creating meaningful cultural change across the organisation. It takes everybody in the organisation to kind of take part and to get involved. We've been lucky that we have support from the very top, and you know that feeds down along. So it's great, and we're really kind of championing junior members of staff to progress their careers and to look at how their kind of what their career progression is going to be over the next few years. Our network is open to everybody, male, female, anybody, whoever wants to join. We'll take anybody, and it kind of fosters a goal, a gender equity goal. So like if we have people in from, if we have men and we have women at the table, it's always good to have the different voices. Sometimes you can get caught up and you can get, you know, women will have their own kind of mindset on things, and sometimes it's good to have that balance there as well, to bring another voice to the table where it just throws a different perspective on things. We're lucky that our sponsorship is mixed gender. Obviously the overall IDE strategy in VHI is sponsored by our People and Sustainability leader Amy Burke, and the Women's Network are lucky to have Aaron Keogh, he's our MD of Insurance, as our sponsor, and Aaron has been the sponsor since we inaugurated. In fairness to him, he's offered to step back on numerous occasions, but he hasn't been lucky enough to be let go. So he demonstrates that the membership is open to all genders for us as well, and he encourages active contribution from the men, which is great for us when we're trying to get that gender balance, particularly at some of the events that we would run that you know, could be seen as just for women, like the things around menopause or fertility or anything like that. So it's getting that balance out and making sure that everybody is aware that they can come. We focus on inclusive events, and we work along with the other networks in VHI as well. We have the Pride Network, the Multicultural Network, and the Neurodiversity Network. So the four of us tend to kind of work together on different projects, which is great. And we'll support, each of the networks will support each other as much as we can. We're lucky in the Women's Network that we have a very capable lady who does our Voice of Women's Network for us. She's one of our researchers in her day job, and she is able to get us fantastic insights from our membership, and we can kind of work with that. Then it gives us a really good kind of amount of data to work with to create programs that are going to be useful for our members. And then just some of the programs that we run that don't, some things that you can do that don't need to cost a fortune. So you focus on your internal kind of expertise. So we do, which goes down really well. VHI has three main companies. There's healthcare, group, and insurance. So because the organisation has grown so much over the last couple of years, a lot of people don't know each other across the organisation. So we've created a connection hive, and that we run quarterly kind of coffee roulette, we call it, where you join the meeting and you end up in a random breakout room with somebody that you may never have met before, and it gives people a chance to kind of network across the organisation with no pressure to kind of be in the office. So we normally do that on a Friday morning or something once a quarter. We also run Flourish mentoring program, so that's a cross gender allyship program. So we have our mentors and mentees. Last year we had 50 people go through the program, and we have a wrap-up session for that this week. So it'll be great to hear the feedback on it and kind of get a handle on what people enjoyed from it. And then the other program that we run is Lean In Circles. Lean In was set up by Cheryl Sandberg, and we have 9 circles in VHI. They're groups that come together. They're about 8 to 12 people. And they come together in a space that's kind of called from the outset like a circle of trust. So you could be in that circle with senior leaders or not, and it's a space where you meet regularly and you work to offer each other support, learn new skills, and kind of help each other pursue your career goals. So they're the main programs that we have, and I'm happy to have a chat with anybody that wants to reach out. But I was trying to fly through to get through as much as I could, so hopefully I gave a little bit of a flavour of what we're doing.
Oh, definitely, Nicola. Thank you so much for that. Our penultimate finalist and highly commended in this category is Core, and with us today is Catherine Fitzgibbon. Congratulations on being highly commended in this category. Core has taken the powerful step of applying gender equality principles to the work you create for clients. How has embedding inclusion into creative decision-making changed conversations internally and expectations externally?
Thank you. And it's amazing listening to everyone this morning. I've learned so much. Like Nicola, I'm busy writing here. It's so I suppose as a business, Core we're a communications and marketing business. So we really have an opportunity to help shape some of society and some of the changes. Core itself as a company, we're over 400 people. We're 60% female. And for the last 17 years, we've been part of the Great Place to Work program. So we are a high trust culture. So our business has, and our business internally has been very much about co-design of a lot of what we have. What we currently have, I suppose we have support like a lot of you have spoken about today. So we're a great place to work for women. We're a great place to work for wellbeing. We're also a best medium-sized workplace for a menopause hub. So we were awarded that this year, and specifically around one of our co-design programs, which was done with our female workforce with input from our male colleagues, was our DANU program. So that is a holistic program that covers the 3 M's, because what we found was in isolation we were talking about menopause, we were talking about fertility supports and maternity, but the bit that we were missing was around menstruation or other issues that arise like endometriosis or polycystic ovaries, all of these things that at certain points may cause women to think twice about working or leaving the workforce. So we were very much, I suppose, making sure that we stop that from happening, or we try to kind of negate it as much as we can. So our DANU program covers all of those areas and supports within them, right down from additional time off to counselling service to services with the menopause hub, etc. And then I suppose we have all the other supports that lots of people have talked about today. But one of the things we do is around that responsibility piece. So we do work with a lot of clients who, like us, have lots of visions that want to make Ireland a better place for everyone. And we try and, I suppose, help or aid as much as we can with that. And we're very passionate about doing that. So over the years, we would have worked with, as I am, Women's Aid as well. In 24, we would have done the research or partnered with them in the research for Evolving Manhunt, which was around some of the things that Natalie talked about, which is change of perspectives from the male point of view and trying to, I suppose, make them part of the conversation. We also then last year would have worked with Purple House in bringing out work to all businesses across Ireland, and that was a passion of them. And what we do is we amplify some of the amazing things that these organisations are doing. And this year, shameless plug, if I can, Sonia, is for International Women's Day, we are partnering with the Menopause Hub to talk about these three areas around women's health. And on Friday, we launched a partnership survey, which is the largest in Ireland, talking about female hormone health in the workplace, and I suppose to help shape some of the conversations that are going to happen over the next few years. So in a nutshell, I suppose core really is internally we are championing our own people. We're working towards some of those policies and initiatives that all of you guys have spoke about to try and bring the gender gap closer, but also empower women to stay, to thrive, and to continue to change society. But we're also working with workplaces, clients, and also partners to amplify, which is the thing that we can do as a business, and the things that a lot of our people are really passionate about. We're not the experts in a lot of these areas, but if we can help amplify some of those conversations, I think it's a really, really good thing. And that's, I suppose, us in a nutshell. And I'd really like to thank everybody. I got loads of information from today, and if anyone has any more questions, please do reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Great, Catherine, thanks so much. Great to hear what's happening in core. So our last finalist today is our winner, Bus Éireann, represented today by Susan Kerrigan. Congratulations on winning in this category. Bus Éireann has used storytelling and visibility to challenge long-held assumptions about who belongs in transport roles. How have real employee stories helped open doors, not just for women, but for the culture as a whole?
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. And yeah, as Catherine just said there, it's it's really amazing to hear all the great work being done in the sector. We were really honoured to win the award. So I'm standing in here today for Linda Allen. Unfortunately, Linda couldn't be with us today. I'm sure some of you know her. And really, the work that she's put in. On all of these strategies, I have to thank her for it, and she really is the powerhouse behind all of the initiatives. So I suppose you mentioned storytelling there, but before we get into that, I might talk about some of the initiatives and the programs that we've put in place that have led to the recognition. So sorry, excuse me, a bit of a bad throat, sorry. So our commitment to gender equality, I suppose, we adopted the Route to Respect policy, which was our gender strategy. So it goes from 2024 to 2030. And some of the points on that. So the journey so far, let's say, I suppose I'll go back a little bit from 2022 to 24. We looked at things like recruitment and culture, our training and awareness, representation and strategy. I suppose we kind of wanted to lay a strong foundation by transforming some of our practices, our policies and our mindset. So, in the training, we had things like women's health, our unconscious bias training, domestic violence and abuse awareness, and then around recruitment and culture, inclusive hiring, returner support, and women's network. So I suppose the inclusive hiring, we had multiple recruitment campaigns, and which focused on gender equality, and we made sure we had gender diverse interview panels. Our outreach in terms of recruitment as well. So apprenticeships will be a big part of Bus Éireann. So our in our garages and mechanic apprenticeships. So we extended our outreach there to underrepresented groups, and we engaged with some DEIS schools via the World of Work and Future of Work with business in the community. And we partnered with Back to Work Connect to support career re-entry. We also, in terms of culture change, we established a women's network, and we mark key milestones like International Women's Day and so on. A barrier review, we really wanted to analyse some of our male-dominated recruitment practices to remove that systemic bias. So we wanted to focus we wanted to focus our efforts on inclusive access, equitable representation, and breaking cultural barriers to entry. So just a little bit more on the training. So we rolled out the unconscious bias training and also inclusive leadership training to all of our office-based staff. And then in terms of the frontline, so we are a company of 3,500 employees, and most of that is made up of frontline staff. So we introduced our driving diversity program, which was available to all of our drivers, and also we rolled out domestic abuse training for our supervisors. So I've heard a lot of you mention it already, but we did a lot of workshops on the 3 M's: menstruation, maternity, and menopause. So one of the menopause workshops we held in our main depot in Broadstone. We held a number of them, but one of the workshops I attended, it was packed. It was standing room only, and it was just amazing to see so many men that I worked with in the room. And it was really, really powerful session. And we rolled that out across the country. So I suppose following on from that, having men as allies, we partnered with the Professional Women's Network on the Engaging Men initiative, and a number of my colleagues participated in that initiative, and that was really good. So we tried to tackle structural change and individual awareness. So we partner with Open Doors, IBEC, and African Professional Network also to support minority inclusion. And I suppose these partnerships enabled us to reach deeper into underrepresented communities and broaden our lens on inclusion. So in terms of strategy and reporting and accountability, we do feel that transparency and strategy go hand in hand, and that the reporting holds us accountable and sharpens our focus. So we published three gender pay gap reports highlighting insights and driving change. And we released the Route to Respect, our DEI strategy, to deepen the organisational commitment. And I suppose the recognition, that's why we're here today, and the recognition does reinforce our internal progress and gives us motivation to keep going. So we've achieved the Bronze Investors in Diversity Accreditation, which we're delighted with, and other awards also recognising our D&I work. So we've laid a strong foundation from 2022 up to now, and we're looking now at 2025 onwards up to 2030 to build on the momentum. So some of the themes that we're looking at: gender representation, pay equity and transparency, inclusive culture, family-friendly policies, so things like flexible working, return of support, career development, that's a big piece at the moment, so looking at career pathways, mentoring and job shadowing, and just intersectionality, minority groups, LGBTQ+, disability, and so on. So I suppose the roadmap for the recruitment and culture piece, we have our women's network and our male allies there. For the training and induction piece, we're looking at the gender equality and onboarding. We are currently, in terms of training and development, we're currently launching a future supervisor program for mentoring and shadowing. So yeah, the outreach, we have the school engagement with our STEM program, and inclusion, we have our ERGs for LGBTQ+, disability and cultural diversity. Leadership development, we're looking at things like sponsorship, confidence coaching, job rotation, community engagement. We have a lot of outreach ambassadors, and just, I suppose, going back to, I'll talk about it now, maybe a little bit more about the storytelling piece, our use of real life stories and video campaigns. So yeah, in terms of benchmarking, we are looking to go for our silver in diversity. So we'll be, looking at all of our feedback from everything. So really our targets, we're looking for 50% women in management and board roles by 2030, 20% women in operational roles and new hires from diverse nationalities, 10% women in supervisory roles. And traditionally in Bus Éireann, like the supervisory roles come from our driver pool. So, ultimately we're trying to increase our female drivers. So just, I'll talk a little bit about the campaign and the storytelling piece. So you may have seen one of our recent campaigns. It was be part of it, be part of the next generation. So just the storytelling piece, you know, we decided that it's our employees that best represent our brand. So, you know, they're the ones that will do the best job of telling our story and communicating to potential applicants why Bus Éireann is a great fit for them. So we selected some of our own staff to, you know, to be in the campaign, and we shot spotlight campaigns. So one of the ladies in the campaign, her name is Daniela. She had applied to Bus Éireann and come through our training program. So she came to us with a car license, and we trained her up through the program. Daniela's previous role was a beautician, so it was a really, really good story to use in the campaign. Another one of our campaigns, again, we used our own staff in it. One of our drivers, Jackie, this campaign was "My Best Move, Yours Too." So Jackie, again, she came to us through our training program, and she's actually now a supervisor. So you know, in terms of storytelling, we really do feel that using our own staff is, you know, it's the best part that we can do. You know, it just kind of showcases that we're hiring people from all different diverse backgrounds, and yeah, we have seen great we have seen applications, really, really good numbers from those campaigns. So it kind of the campaign showed the person, their name, and like what, you know, maybe how many years experience, because in Bus Éireann we do have a lot of people that are there a long time. So we kind of put them side by side. We kind of had a supervisor, might say 25 years experience, and so on. So we were kind of just trying to showcase that family piece. So yeah, that's really kind of how we brought storytelling into the initiative. Yeah, so I'll probably wrap up there, and you know, if anybody has any questions, please, you know, feel free to contact me through LinkedIn.
Well, thanks so much, Susan, and congratulations again. And thanks to everyone today. I've really enjoyed hosting this webinar, and I'm very excited about the future after hearing about so many wonderful initiatives that are pushing forward gender equality. Now, back to you, Andrew. Thank God I'm done.
Well, my chance to say thank you to everybody. That was incredible. I've taken so many notes, and I've got so many questions which I'm going to post. So I'm going to pose on LinkedIn. So I'll be doing that in my own time. Thank you so much for all of that. I have some key takeaways of my own, which I'll share selfishly. It was great to see the universal kind of attention on not just establishing the pipeline and driving change through new hires, but also looking at progression and hiring, you know, and progressing from within, which is amazing. And that's something that Susan's outlined very well. And I think all of the panelists touched on it as well, that whole, you know, once you have your people, progressing them through and building the trust and creating the environment where they can thrive. What was also wonderful to see is the equipping of all of your colleagues with the language, to have the conversations and the sharing that contribute to progress. And I suppose part of that was involving men in the conversation as well, which I imagine, you know, can't be easy, because it must be, I imagine as a man, you commonly you might get just, when the whole DEI conversation starts, that there can be kind of, well, it's gender, so that doesn't involve me, so I'm not interested. But you've all kind of outlined ways in which you've kind of overcome that and shown the value of it to everybody. So congratulations. And I think anyone that's watching this should really take that message that men have to be involved, because it covers, you know, they have wives, they have daughters, they have sisters. They all go through the 3 M's, you know, they all have concerns around, and I think it's a great phrase. I've never heard it before. So it's great to learn about, I might get it wrong now, maternity. No, it starts with, there was one that's kind of at the beginning, I've forgotten it. But anyway, the 3 M's were amazing. So maternity, menopause, and I've forgotten the
Menstruation.
menstruation. fantastic that there's that focus and equipping men with the language to talk around that. Also, I love the phrase, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. You don't have to boil the ocean, which is a great phrase I picked up from another of the webinars. Also, measurement, leadership, all of these are great things, and collaboration, all great things to see coming out through all of the contributions today. Okay, those are my takeaways, and I'm sure anybody watching this will have their own notes and take particular things from them. So thank you so much to all of our panelists for the incredible sharing. Thank you for bringing it back on time. It's amazing. Lots of tremendous work being done out there. Incredible. Right, I have to thank Sonia for being a great host for the session. And again, obviously to our finalists and Catherine are highly commended, and Susan representing Bus Éireann. Thank you very much. Thank you to Ciara for all the amazing work behind the scenes. Thank you for joining us as the audience. The recording will be available shortly. Give us a couple of days to do all the editing and things like that. And in the meantime, or not in the meantime, but you're always welcome to contact any of the finalists, or sorry, any of the panelists, and also ourselves through the Irish Centre for Diversity website. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.